A Tale of Two Hygienists presents this week's TIPisode. Quick and easy tips to keep you up to date and presented by the experts in the profession. Now, get ready for your unofficial TIPisode.
Welcome everyone to a live TIPisode. We are live from the Voices of Dentistry here in Scottsdale. What are we, 2022? There we go, 2022. I'm with my friend Amber Lovatos.
Hola.
Hey, buddy. And you have a tip for this week's TIPisode.
Yes, so my tip is for dental hygiene educators. If you have a Spanish-speaking dental hygiene student or dental student, do not use them as interpreters.
By the way, that is such a default move to do.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. And I understand the struggle, right? I understand that maybe you don't speak Spanish, but the issue comes with the fact that our dental hygiene student, if you're using them to use their clinic time to interpret or translate for you, then they're losing out on clinic time, losing out on experiences, right? And a lot of times they'll do it because we care for our comunidad, we want to connect with them, we want to serve them. But the knowledge that you have as an educator is not the same level of knowledge that they have as a student, right?
So if I'm the educator, I'm going in and I'm saying, okay, you are going to translate for me. If they don't understand in my words, because they haven't learned that part as a student yet, how are they going to translate to the patient?
Exactly.
Okay.
And they don't understand the background, right? A student's knowledge is not the same as your years of experience as a hygienist, as an educator, right? So all patients deserve the same type of care, right? Mm-hmm. Equal care. If you as a educator, you are always checking the medical history for the patients, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't understand that patient's language, they don't understand you, and you don't understand what that student's telling that patient, how are you truly checking for competency?
Right.
You can't if you're not understanding the language. You should have people there who are interpreting for you and translating for you, people who that is their job.
So, okay, because in private practice, it's a requirement that by law we have to have either a service that we call into or something that's going to, somebody that is qualified to translate for our patients. So is that the same expectation in schools?
Yes, that is absolutely the same expectation in schools.
So do they have that in schools, do you know?
I think there are some programs that do. I've talked to other students who don't have that. They don't have that. They're like, so in between my patient, I go and help my classmates. And yes, I mean, we can help them with basic instructions and things, but patients should still receive the same care, even if they don't speak your language, the same care as your English-speaking patients, right? Really, it comes down to it's really not fair to that Spanish-speaking patient or that patient who speaks a different language that they're not receiving the same care, because as a former educator, I would take the time to, educate my Spanish-speaking patients and my English-speaking patients. They should receive that same experience, even if they don't speak your language.
Does this also, not to ruin the very great point that you had about students and taking away from their educational process, but is this the same kind of principle of not having kids translate for parents?
Oh my gosh, 100%. That is one of my biggest pet peeves. So if we,
that should have been the tip.
That should have been the tip. Yeah. No me acceleres. Okay. So, don't get me started. Yeah. So if you have a child interpret for a parent, as an adult, when I'm educating another adult English-speaking patient, do they automatically understand what I'm saying the first time?
Right.
No. So now I'm going to tell a child to understand dentistry when adults don't understand dentistry. And then we want them to translate it, interpret it into a different language. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, it's just not going to work out.
Not for the patient, it's not going to work out. You might feel like, oh, I did my job, but really we're not doing our job. That is not culturally competent care.
Let me ask this this question. It might not make sense. It's in my head, though. I promise it makes sense in my head. So how do you gauge someone's level of understanding? Okay, so let's say I have a Spanish-speaking patient, right? And I speak a few words of Spanish. I think that they're understanding, but what are some cues to look at to see if they're understanding what I'm really saying?
So I would say that if they're just responding with yes and no, so don't ask them obviously ask them open-ended questions instead of a yes and no response. So not, did you understand? ¿Sí entiendes? Sí. No. Ask them can you explain back to me what I just explained to you? Making sure to have, for my patients, I make sure to have an opportunity during my visit. I know that's sometimes hard. People get busy. To ask me any questions. It doesn't even have to be related to their dental visit at that time. It'd be questions they just have in general about dentistry. And knowing that they're receptive. And you're and here's the thing, your Spanish doesn't have to be perfect for you to build relationship, to build rapport with your patient. If you attempt the language, they will open up to you. That might not be good. That's not good enough for a full, like, explaining their care to them. But to build rapport to them, yes, talk to them in their language, in Spanglish, attempt to say like, hola, yo soy Ámbar. Yo soy tu hygienista. I'm your dental hygienist.
Sounds much nicer when you say it, though, than when I say it. Sounds very bad when I say it. But I think they appreciate it, though. They appreciate the effort, right?
They do appreciate the effort.
And I think that they'll, at least, kind of in my experience of, living in the Philippines, like, even if you're not right, they're going to try and figure out what you're saying harder than if you're just speaking English to them. They wouldn't try and figure it out. Like, I can't understand any of that.
Exactly. So I have also Brazilian patients. If you don't know Brazilians, although Latinos, they do not speak Spanish, they speak Portuguese. But it's easier for us to try and kind of communicate in Spanish because those languages are a little bit similar. So I'll be speaking Spanish, they'll be speaking Portuguese, and we try to figure it out. And then we laugh about it, and then we build that like connection and relationship.
Yeah, it's amazing. Amber, I'm sure everyone's going to have more questions about how to learn Spanish, like dental Spanish or whatever. Where can they go? Where can they find you to get more help?
They can go to my podcast.
Yay!
It's Un Cuento de Dos Higienistas, which is a tale of two hygienists, but in Spanish.
I love it. What about social media?
Social media, you can find me at the Latina RDH, and I try to do some like Spanish tips on there as well.
Fantastic. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this week's TIPisode. Be sure to reach out to our guest experts and let them know how helpful their tips were. Follow A Tale of Two Hygienists on Facebook, Instagram, and head over to ataleoftwohygienist.com and subscribe to our newsletter. You can also email us at ataleoftwohygienist@gmail.com and keep listening for more awesome content from your unofficial dental hygiene podcast.